And a great good morning to everybody. How's everything going out there? Well, I'm here today. I shot a YouTube only video the other day, and it's because some people on YouTube sent me some messages. So one guy said, need to speak clearer and try not to do my videos stoned. I don't get stoned. What comes across is what some people can't seem to realize is that I have a problem saying my R's. They come out as ah. Even my name, Richard. I put more of an ah sound on the second R. I have to roll the first R. I've been that way all my life. And my SH's, CH's, and SCH's, very guttural, slurry. That's me. So when you see me doing my videos, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm not high, I'm not stoned. I don't feel my morphine. I don't. All I feel is a drop in pain. And the main reason I'm doing this video today is I'm doing this for a friend. She sent me a plea to, well, let me read it off here. This is what she said, word for word. I'll leave her nameless. If she wants to put her name out there, she'll do it herself. Hi, Rick. I need your help to put it out there. She said, like I told you, she has, I'm being cut off of my pain medicine until off, both, completely. And so are other people. I am very, very upset and don't know if I will be on this earth without my medicine to help me. 27 years of suffering and fighting. Now she has RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and CRPS, chronic regional pain symptoms. Very painful. They need opiates. People with RSD and CRPS, CPS, fibromyalgia, autoimmune diseases, anything with chronic and severe and intractable and acute pains, we need opiates. Okay? And the opiate epidemic that everybody's whining about is people who don't take it properly, or they're just taking it for fun. And when you're taking it for fun, if you don't have pain, and you took just what I take for breakfast this morning, a 60 milligram time release and a 30 milligram immediate release. That's my breakfast. I wake up, I take that, and I usually have a glass of hot tea right next to the bed. So I get up, first thing when I sit up in the morning, I take 90 milligrams of morphine. And I don't feel it. I'm here right now on it. Okay, it's only been an hour and a half. 1 hour and a half, and my pupils are equal and reactive. I do not feel euphoric. I don't feel a buzz. I don't have any numbness anywhere except what's normal for my fibromyalgia. Well, let me get back to what she said here. 27 years of suffering and fighting. And people are being cut down and taken off of pain medications, all because of this opioid epidemic. The epidemic is the people who take it for fun, and the people who lie their way through the doctors to get it. Okay? I don't take morphine for fun. I take it so I have a quality of life. Okay? So that I can stand up and walk around the house. I need morphine. Okay? So, getting back to my friend here. Now, why do drug addicts get to go to the methadone clinics and free? They get free methadone, which is synthetic heroin. You're giving them the same thing they're on. Basically, you're helping them. You're keeping them addicted. Okay? And a lot, okay? I've lived on the street before. It's something I don't talk about much, but I lived on the street for almost a year. I met heroin addicts and opioid addicts. And they couldn't sit here and do what I'm doing right now. They could not. They can't function. They nod out and come back to life. And okay, you don't see me doing that. Why? Pain levels. Okay, when people are up here in 10-10 pain and their opiates only take care of 50% of their pain, what about the other 50%? The opiates are gone by the time they get here. Like me. By the time I hit a 5 to a 6, my opiates are gone. They're used up. They're not in my system. They do not give me any euphoria because I don't hit 0. Okay? And that's where people that take drugs for fun, they start at 0. So if they were to take my morning dose, they'd be dead in a half an hour. I'm not. I'm on 240 milligrams per day. My daily dose of morphine can kill 5 to 10 grown men. Serious as a heart attack. I've crunched all the numbers and I've seen it. So, methadone clinics. The government sponsors these. And the state, cities, counties, whoever pays for these addicts to get more of what they want. They go out and they do their heroin, and guess what? They only do a urinalysis. Well, heroin and opiates are only in your urine for 3 to 5 days. So a junkie can go out and shoot up every day of the month and then dry out for 3 or 4 days, go into the methadone clinic, piss clear, and get their methadone. Think about this, folks. I just did a whole bunch of number notes that's gonna really put this opioid epidemic bullshit to shame. So, why don't they shut these clinics down instead of giving them what they want? They choose to get high. We did not choose to be sick. We did not choose to need opiates, okay? My doctor saw fit to give me opiates because of my continually growing pain levels. He's seen me in 10-10 pain where I was in his office, bundled up under blankets, shivering to death, could not communicate. Debbie had to lead me around by the hand. I could not think straight. I could not see straight. It was OxyContin and psych meds. Marijuana fixed it. Marijuana and morphine. And I'll get to everything else. So anyway, these people, they choose to get high, and there's nothing wrong with them. So they're at the 0 pain levels, so anything they take, if they take one of my 30 milligram morphines, they fly. They're boom. One person called it kissing God. I think it was Lenny Bruce, the comedian, back in the 60s and 70s. Raunchy-ass comedian, and he was a heroin addict. And he called it kissing God because you're so close to death. Morphine is from Morpheus, the god of death. And it puts you close to death. So tell me, why are we, the people that take our opiates and are still straight and can think straight and talk straight, why are we being made to suffer for the addicts? We should not be, okay? We are patients, not addicts. Now this video, please share this video every frickin' where you can, all the way to the Oval Office. Send it to the CDC, okay? The CDC is being pushed into calling this an opioid epidemic when it's not, okay? Just earlier this year, they said it is not an epidemic, okay? Because they took into account junkies and everything, and methadone clinics. Well, now the government doesn't want them to do that. And they're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to get everybody off of opiates, when it's the worst freaking thing that you can do to anybody. It harms people. Okay? Just because these other people want to cause self-harm by taking opiates and kissing God, fine, let them do it. But don't give them more in methadone. Get them off the drugs. So why don't the DEA shut these clinics down first before they cut sick people off of their legal prescriptions? Plus, it's because of drug addicts that sick people suffering have to pay. Addicts get prescriptions and use them to get high or sell. Real sick people suffering in pain take them for their pain. So please do a video on that. First, shut down these clinics before you go after the real sick people who need this medicine to live the best that they can with RSD, CRPS, and all other diseases. She asked me to please put it out there on video, and I am doing it. And for my friend here and all my other friends in my pain family that I call them, I'm doing this, and I need it shared. I need this everywhere. I want the Oval freaking Office to hear me. I want President Trump to listen. I'm going to go inside right now, and I'm going to give you some numbers. Very surprising. And when you look at it, you will see that there is no opioid epidemic. Okay? It's made up. Because they're taking into account junkies. People who are not sick. And they're adding them into the mix with legitimate patients. And it's bullshit. It should not be done. Legitimate patients and addicts need to be separated when they do these number crunching. So, I'm going to go inside here. See you in there in a sec. Alright, and I'm back. It is cold out. It's like 60 degrees out here. That's chilly for the desert. Now, every time you hear the word opioid or opiate, it always seems to be followed by the word epidemic. The CDC says that there are 78 fatalities every day in the U.S. from heroin, OxyContin, Vicodin, and other opiates. Now, if you listen to that, heroin is not legal. And fentanyl is the biggest pharmaceutical opioid that is responsible for the most of those deaths. Okay? If it's not heroin, it's fentanyl. Those of us on opiate therapy, I have my pills right here. Morning, noon, evening, night. I have a 30 milligram morphine every space. And a 60 here, a 60 here. These are Seroquel, Valium, and amitriptyline for bed. Lots of times, I don't need the fourth morphine. I have 240 milligrams to take daily. But some days I get by with only 210 because my Seroquel and amitriptyline helps me get to sleep and stay asleep for at least 6 hours. That's what we do. As patients, we don't just grab the bottle and pour out pills to put in our hand. No, we don't do that. We keep our pills numbered, okay? We take them as needed and as prescribed. Because when your pain level climbs back up to a 10 and you need another 30 milligram morphine to come down here, by God damn it, we deserve to be able to do that. So 78 fatalities to opioids daily. And that number has quadrupled since 1999. But instead of going to more safer, viable options like marijuana, hemp oil, and even kratom, I will add, thanks, you're welcome, Edie, they are dropping legitimate patients off their opiates. Patients, not addicts. The addicts are getting their methadone. They're getting what they want. And if the government doesn't want to give them methadone, they're going to find heroin on the streets. Okay? That's what a junkie does. If my doctor were to cut me off opiates tomorrow, hopefully he'll let me keep pot, because that will be the only thing that will help keep me alive and help me have a quality of life. Okay? As it is right now, because I'm on the morphine and pot, I had to turn in my driver's license. So I'm now totally homebound. And I can't walk more than a quarter mile without having to stop for an hour and rest. I can't even walk to my mailbox because it's a quarter mile away. It's a half mile round trip to my mailbox and back. I have to take the truck, but I'm on my road. I'm not on a public road. I'm on a private road, so I can drive. Just like kids can drive tractors without a license, as long as they're on the farm. That's how I learned to drive on a tractor, all hand operated, except for the foot. The foot were brakes for the back tires. But I had the speed, the clutch, or not the clutch, but the gear shift and the speed were on a hand thing. And that's how I learned how to drive at 8 years old, working on farms. And I didn't need a license. So I can drive down to get my mail and drive home. I don't go out on the road just because I don't need the ticket. But let me get back to my notes. Methadone clinics are still operating, and since heroin is gone from the urinalysis within 2 to 7 days, they can take coke, they can take Vicodin, they can take OxyContin. They can get high and still go to the methadone clinic and get what they want. All the while, us, with real pain, acute, chronic, severe, intractable pain, we have no other recourse than what our doctors will prescribe us. And doctors that prescribe you opiates, but then listen to this bullshit put out by these assholes who have no freaking idea. Most of them are religious people up on their soapboxes saying it's the devil shit and everybody on opiates needs to be cut off. Well, those people have never lived in pain. They have never lived a day at 8, 9, 10 pain level. If you have, you would be crying for opiates. I remember sitting in my doctor's offices. 5 doctors I went through. I'm sitting there shivering to death, but sweating. My pupils were uneven. I was on no drugs. Nothing. I would drink at night to help kill the pain. But during the day, I had nothing. And when I go to the doctors, I couldn't smell of alcohol, so I couldn't drink the night before. And I was up here in the pain numbers. Okay? Now I only get down to a 3. I never hit 0. If I never hit 0, I don't feel the euphoria. I don't get high. And that's what people have got to start understanding. Opiates kill pain. And the opiates, when you're in acute pain like I am, the opiate's gone. It's no more. My liver has processed it out. It's gone. And my liver enzymes are perfect. So that tells you that my body is cleaning out the morphine as I take it. It's helping keep my pain levels down, but it's not killing them. Okay? And I don't take extra. I don't take extra. I don't take an extra 30 at the end of the day. At 270 milligrams. No. Because I can't afford to run out of my pills. So I have to suffer in this pain area every day of my life. As I'm sitting here right now, I am in 5-6 pain. Look up on the subjective pain scale and see what a 5-6 is. It's very distressing, and it limits major life activities. I do light chores around the house. I run our filtered water. We have a system of, we have water on the counter. We have a Brita pitcher that we keep in the fridge, plus a gallon of water from the Brita pitcher. So I'm constantly filling the water pitcher and filling the Brita pitcher so it's cold too. And we have extra water on the counter for room temperature that's all been filtered. That's a chore for me. It takes me 5 to 10 minutes, and I have to sit down afterwards. And then I do the dishes. We eat off paper plates, so basically the only thing to wash are the pots and pans and silverware. Very light cleaning that I have to do. Okay? And that takes its toll on me. And it leaves me in pain. And I have to deal with it. And I do. But you take away my opiates, I will be even less productive than I am now. I would not be able to get up and do the dishes at will. I would not be able to go out there and even feed the animals at will. They got their dry food, they got their water. Okay, they can suffer until dinner time for their canned food. I'm not going to deal with it because I can't get up. You haven't seen me on Facebook for a few days. You want to know why? 2 days ago, I could not stay awake. I'd be awake for a half hour to an hour, and boom, my body would just go, "Bleh." I slept for 2 to 3 hours. I'd get up for a half hour to an hour. No longer refreshed. I'd wake up refreshed, but just briefly. Things start climbing. I have to lay down again. Another 2 to 3 hours. I slept over 36 hours out of 48. Now, the day before yesterday, I could not sleep. But I could not focus. I couldn't trust myself to even say much on Facebook. Because I may curse, I may piss people off. So I stay clear. And then yesterday, was another day where I could not stay awake. It's like a never-ending cycle of days like that for me. The days I can't sleep, but I can't be productive because of my pain levels. And I take my opiates as scribed. I don't deviate from my prescription. Okay? So why are heroin addicts getting what they want, and then I'm being threatened with the loss of my medication, which mine is medication. For a heroin addict, it's not. And to even call methadone a medication is wrong. It's warm inside. I can take this off. Patients, not addicts. It's just over and over again to say patients, not addicts. So, I read my friend's article, or I read her message. She wants me to put this out there in a video, and I need everybody to share it. This is one very important video for everyone to share, because I run pain groups. I have people, my pain family. I call you guys my pain family because we're all a family of chronic pain patients. And we are not addicts. And we don't deserve to be treated as such. We should not be labeled in the same category as a heroin addict, okay? And other addicts, okay? When I was a kid, rebellious little bastard, I started smoking weed at 8 and cigarettes at 8, but I was working. And kids in school would say, here, take these. What are they? Oh, just take them, man. You'll get off. No questions asked. I took them. I have an addictive personality. Back then, I would do that. Now I don't. Because I've learned and grown. And I've basically grown up. And I realize what I have. Okay? I'm a 10th generation alcoholic on both sides of my family. But I don't drink. And I don't feel the need to. And it's not the opiates, it's I just don't need alcohol. I do require opiates. Okay? It's not a need, it's not a want, it's a requirement. And that's where people have got to learn the differences. Heroin addicts don't require heroin. They just want to kiss God. Like, I'm not under the sway of my opiates. They don't control me. They help control my pain. And with pot added on, it helps me have a quality of life. To call this an opioid epidemic and to start cutting everybody off, people with a legitimate painful disease like RSD and CRPS. He has a legitimate reason for needing opiates. Okay? Tramadol is bullshit baby aspirin. Aspirin itself kills 400 people a year. Cannabis has never killed anybody. Dun, dun, dun. So, in 2017, they are now saying there is an average of 78 deaths per day related to drug overdoses. In general, drug overdoses. This is all drugs. Not just opiates. Anxiolytics, antidepressants, SSRIs, everything. All drug overdoses come out to 78 per day. Now, 2016, among 64,000 drug overdose deaths, the leading drug cause is fentanyl and fentanyl analogs, which is synthetic fentanyl, which already is synthetic heroin in and of itself. In 2015, 10,265 people died in alcohol-related driving incidents. At 78 deaths per day, in 2017, that only equals out to 28,470 drug overdoses. Half of that can be accounted for in alcohol-related accidents, which is 29% of all traffic-related deaths. 2013, 73,505 non-fatal firearm injuries, 23.2 people per 100,000, and 33,636 deaths due to firearms, at 10.6 per 100,000. Now they say OD deaths have quadrupled since 1999, and so has the sale of scripts from 1999 to 2015, a rate of 183,000. But it's strange that the CDC stats does not mention opiates as their leading cause of death. It is estimated that 2.1 million people are suffering from substance abuse related to opiates, with 467,000 related to heroin, the illegal, non-prescribed drug. Okay? Deaths from overdoses of prescription drugs and heroin continue to be the leading cause of unintentional deaths, which is only up 14% from 2013-2014. In 2016, 47,000 people died from all drug overdoses. Oh. Dun, dun, dun. 47,000 people. Now, opioid deaths, 28,000. It's only half. And opioids are the biggest one because they do kill. But other drugs do also. Chemotherapy and radiation are deadly poisons that we're forced to take, where cannabis fixes it. You know, I always come back to cannabis. But here, I've got numbers of deaths. Numbers of deaths. 2.6 million at a rate of 823 per 100,000 people. And we have a life expectancy of 78.8 years. Infant mortality rate of 5.82 per 1,000 live births. Now here's the leading causes of deaths. Heart disease, 633,000 people. Compare that to 28,000. Cancers, almost 600,000 people. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, 155,000. Unintentional injuries, accidents, 146,000. Stroke, 140,000. Alzheimer's disease accounts for 110,000 deaths. Diabetes, 80,000. Flu and pneumonia, 57,000. So where is this 28,000 opioid deaths per year? Where is that the epidemic? When all those other deaths, now, nephritis and nephrotic syndrome and nephrosis, liver problems, 50,000 people. Intentional self-harm, suicide, 44,000 people. Double what opioids do. Okay? And a lot of people probably, they commit suicide by intentionally overdosing on heroin. Heart disease is the leading cause of death. Has been, and it probably always will be. Now, for those of us who have legitimate diseases that require opiate therapy, most of us take our pills as prescribed, leading to 0 deaths. The issue for opiate ODs is usually by folks who get their kicks by taking whatever someone gives them. Like when I was a kid in school. Sure, I'll take those. Uppers, downers, all arounders. Man, I was sitting in class going, I used to get my kicks by taking them. I don't anymore. Like I said here, I used to be like that, and I lived. And I've learned. Now, I am afraid that the ignoramuses and powers that be are going to be making it more difficult for the legitimate patients to get their opiates as prescribed. Because they're threatening doctors. Okay? I hope my doctor does not take the threat. I hope he flips them off and says, no, my patients are legitimate chronic pain patients. And they deserve help. And that help comes in the form of morphine, OxyContin, fentanyl, whatever we can get, whatever they will give us. Okay? they've gotten down to where every 3 months I get a 3-month script. My doctor gives me 3 months of scripts. I see him every 3 months. He gives me a new set of scripts. I've got my 60 and my 30. I take, and when the date comes around, boom, take those to the pharmacy. Now, every 3 months, I have to do a prior authorization that takes almost 30 days to go through my insurance company and my doctor's office, sometimes holding up my prescription for as much as 4 to 5 days. Fortunately, as I've said, I don't always need that fourth 30 milligram morphine. I have a little saved. And I've been needing these because of this prior authorization bullshit that goes through all these people that are non-medically trained. Okay? And my doctor has to tell them over and over and over again that this is a legitimate script. This is a legitimate patient, legitimate pain. He needs opiates. Okay? Heroin addicts, like I said, they can shoot up, stop for 3 to 5 days. The urinalysis comes out clean because it's the cheapest test. Blood tests and hair sample tests are expensive. So the methadone clinics don't use those, where they would find that those people were doing their heroin all along and just cleaning up in time to get a P test and get their methadone. Okay? People work the system. When I got busted for coke, I met a lot of addicts right in the office for the probation office. And I saw my probation officer monthly, and he dropped me for cocaine. Cocaine only stays in my system for 3 to 5 days. And he never tested me for weed. So I was smoking weed. Because I only got piss tested for cocaine. And I could do coke until 3 to 5 days before my scheduled piss test. It was scheduled. It's not a surprise. I had to go there on an appointment date downtown to the probation office and have somebody watch me pee in a cup. And like I said, I could have been doing coke the whole time. I just clean 3 days without, piss clean, go back to doing more coke. And it's retarded. The system is broken. And that's why these methadone people get through. And they do their heroin and still get their free methadone. And it's wrong. And it's creating this synthetic epidemic in the minds of people when none of it's true. The CDC, up to date, has not got opiates listed as any leading cause of death in the United States. Here's some more numbers for you. In the United States, this is the average daily mortality rate. The average number of deaths per day. Major cardiovascular disease, 2,500 people. But everybody's freaked out about 78 deaths per day about opiates. 2,500 from major cardiovascular issues. Malignant cancers, 1,500 people per day. 78 for opiates. Accidents, all accidents together, 193 per day. It's still more than double of the opiate deaths. Influenza, tuberculosis, and pneumonia account for 144 deaths per day. Double the opiate deaths. Septicemia, which is usually post-operative infections, 95 people per day. Yet opiates kill 78. And most of those are unintentional overdoses. Okay? Oh, my friend's taking 3 of these. Well, I can take 3 of these. Well, your friend's been doing it for a year, and this is your first time. Guess what? You're gonna die. Because you're fucking stupid. Now, the CDC, the federal government, they're fucking stupid. And if this goes to the Oval Office, I'm sorry, President Trump, but it's all fucking ignorant. Diabetes mellitus kills 196 people per day. And now they've got these new drugs that kill more people. Guardians, Invokana. The people are having amputations done left and right when they weren't on insulin alone. And nobody worried about their A1C levels until they created drugs, these biologic drugs that did something to the A1C levels. Nobody gave a shit about them before. Liver disease kills 80 people per day. Still 2 more per day than opiates. Kidney disease, 126 people per day. Parkinson's, 55. Alzheimer's, 204. All other diseases put together average 600 deaths per day. Homicides, 50. Suicides, 95. Alcohol-induced death. This is by drinking yourself to death. 64. Now, what I said about Jeff Sessions is both of his ignorant comments. That good people don't smoke marijuana. Well, bad people stand in the way of marijuana legalization because it's the safest plant-based medicine there is. There's a non-alkaloid profile. It doesn't affect the opioid center. It does not affect breathing. It does not affect heart rate. It cures the body. It heals the body because we have the endocannabinoid system. People drink themselves to death, 64 per day. Other drug-induced deaths, including the opioids, is 104. That means there's like 26 more people dying from other drugs. This is a daily total of 6,604 people per day in the U.S. dead from all these diseases. But we're concerned about 78 opiate overdoses, when most of those overdoses are by idiots and thrill seekers and addicts. And it all comes down to patients, not addicts. 400 people die yearly just from aspirin. Think, people. Think. Stop blaming the drugs. Start to blame the addicts and those who lie their way into getting scripted opiates, okay? I did not lie my way into getting what I'm taking because I'm not getting any thrill. I'm not getting any euphoria. I take my morphine and I can walk a straight line. I can pass a drug test. I can stand on one leg, put my head back and do this on one leg. And I can say the alphabet backwards faster than the cops can. So, people like me, we take our scripts as prescribed, and we don't overdose. Why? Because the painkillers kill the pain. You take your opiates, but you still hurt. There's no more opiates in your system to take care of that pain. Well, we deal with that pain because we don't want to overdose and we don't want to violate Everybody has to do a pain agreement now with their doctor. If you're going to get opiates, you have to do a pain agreement with your doctor that says, I will not do this, I will not do this, I will not do this. You sign it. It's in your file. So everything I promised my doctor, I stick to because I need my opiates. And it's not a physical need, and it is not a mental need. It's a pain need. My pain makes it necessary. And if you felt the chronic and intractable pain that I feel, you would cry for morphine. So, I'm not under the spell of opiates. That's the prime example here, is that I am not. And neither are my friends who are using opiates therapy. I know this because I talk to them, many of them daily. Okay? And we're taking our pills for a reason, so that we can live some quality of life. Heroin addicts choose to shoot up heroin, and they end up living in a box in the street, begging and stealing for money. Stealing and pawning shit just to get a bump. Okay? Just to get a dime bag or whatever. It's not even a dime bag anymore. A dime bag costs you like $50 now. Back in the days, it was a $10 bag. A little glassine envelope. Just enough for 2 good doses. Boom. And heroin addicts need more, because their tolerance builds up. My tolerance for opiates has not changed, because they still take care of just as much pain as they're supposed to. Ever since I started taking morphine, it does the same thing every day, every week, every month, every year. Now, I'm on my 4th year of marijuana and morphine together, and I'm able to do these. I'm able to talk to you. If I was just on morphine, or if I was just on OxyContin and psych meds like 2011 to 2013, I would not be here. You would not hear from me. Okay? I spent almost 3 years off social media just for that fact, that I was in so much pain I could not trust myself to talk to people. Okay? I don't know how many times we were in public and Debbie would kick me under the table or something, or she'd interrupt me before I said something because I wouldn't think of what I was going to say. And she'd catch it before it came out, and hush, don't talk shit like that. Okay? Now, I can think clearly. I take my opiates in the morning, and I can think clearly. And I do all those notes. I did all those notes in under 20 minutes. 4 pages worth of notes. And just 3 websites on the phone. That's all I needed. Right from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, where they do not mention opiates at all. It's included in the other drugs. Other drug-induced deaths, 104 per day. 78 of those are opioid-related. So the other 36, or 26, is other drugs. So, I don't know where to go next. All I can say is that my friends are hurting, and I don't like that, and it's not right, and the president needs to know it. The beleaguered Department of Justice head and head drug czar, Jeff Sessions, he needs to learn, okay? He's weed ignorant. He's a weediot. These politicians that don't understand cannabis should not have a say in cannabis legalization. Doctors, chemists, scientists, pharmacists Those are the people who know. Okay? And my doctor will tell you, I have legitimate chronic pain issues. And if you saw my MRIs, you would go, holy shit, how the fuck can you walk? Morphine and pot. It helps me. And it helps other people. What doesn't help other people are all these assholes on their soapboxes and up on their high horses thinking that they know best when they don't know shit. Before you go talking down about something, just think about how much you actually know about it. Okay? And don't say it's God's will, or don't say God doesn't want to happen. Most people are atheists that don't want to hear that shit. I'm an atheist and I don't want to hear that shit. Don't tell me God this and God that. If you want to talk about God, God put marijuana here. And he built us with an endocannabinoid system that takes in marijuana and cannabinoids for the purpose of healing our bodies. And hemp. Hemp was in the food chain and it helped us. It was in the milk cows. It was in their meat. It was in the wild game that ate hemp. It was in the food chain. And we didn't have food allergies. We didn't need vaccines. Nothing like that really happened. Cancers bloomed after pot was criminalized. Cancers, boom, quadrupled. So you want to talk about a problem? Cannabis prohibition. That has caused cancers, it has caused food allergies, and it has done a grave disservice to millions of people in this world. I always get around to cannabis because that's what I do. I'm a cannabis activist. I want the people to have the choice to go down to the dispensary and get themselves something that helps. And the majority of people can use cannabis because it's not addictive. It is not addictive. There's nothing addictive to it. It's only as addictive as in the pleasure of doing something. It's as addictive as chocolate, which contains anandamide, which it releases endorphins. Chocolate. Other foods. Genesis 1:29, God put every seed, nut, fruit-bearing plant on here and on this earth, and it shall be as food for us, or as meat for us, depending on the version of the Bible you read. Cannabis and hemp are mentioned right there in Genesis 1:29. So don't go God on me. And don't say it's God's will that people die, and don't say it's that God doesn't want us to smoke weed. You don't fucking know God. You can't tell me that you talk to him every day and he's telling you all this shit. Well, you better tell people that this, and this, and this. No, you know what most megachurches do? They take parts of the Bible and they expound on them the way they want. The way they want it to be heard. That's why I'm an atheist. Because I saw the hypocrisy. I'm sorry, folks, for those of you who are religious, some people, you've got to have your faith. Fine. I have faith in me. Okay? And that faith in myself is that I control my drinking by not drinking. I take my opiates as prescribed, and I still suffer pain. But I don't take that extra step and step beyond my prescription. And I'm one of many that do just that. So don't punish the many based on the ignorance and foolishness of the few. Okay? Heroin is an illegal drug. 50 to 60 of those 78 daily deaths comes from illegal heroin. And the rest come from unintentional overdoses from people who don't know what to take, how much to take. They don't work their way up. They don't say, oh, let's take this tablet and break it up in quarters and see what a quarter does first. They don't do that. They just pop the whole thing. Boom, it kills you. Stops your heart. Because your body can't handle that amount. My body handles up to 240 milligrams a day. And I am able to live and enjoy somewhat my life. Not as much as I used to, because I can't work. I loved working. I want to go back to work. I wish I could go back to work. I'm a speed demon on a breakfast cook line. Okay? I'm an egg flipper. Okay? Breakfast and lunch was my specialty. And it's fast-paced, fast-moving. I do 10 to 12-hour shifts without a break. Boss would say, well, you need a break. Well, I don't want to break my rhythm. So I tell him, just take the half hour off my time. I'm going to work a 12-hour shift anyway. I'm always on overtime. So take the half hour off. I didn't care. I didn't want to stop. Because when I stop, I don't want to get started again. So if I stayed down in the cook line and just kept moving and kept moving and kept grooving, the time flew. And I got tips from my customers. I got tips from the servers. Because I put out good, fast food. Nice, pretty plates. Okay? I don't have to fix the plates that my co-cooks would be throwing up on the... And I'd say, don't put that out. And I have to clean the plate off and take some of the pour some of the oil off that they just scoop a burger up with all the oil on it and it makes a greasy-ass bun. So I had to put up with people like that. But it's just an example of my work ethic. And that extends to my health care. I think ethically. As in, I don't need to take more than I'm prescribed. I do sometimes need it, but I deal with the pain. And I have marijuana to help me deal with the pain. Think, people. All this bullshit about opioid epidemic is bullshit. People are fudging numbers. People are blaming everything. Okay? Heroin addicts die of heroin. Morphine addicts die of morphine. They lump them all together and say it's opioids. It's all opioids. No, it's not. There's heroin. And then there's unintentional ODs with prescription because they're stupid. Well, guess what? Stupidity is the best population control factor there is stupidity. If you're so stupid as to double your dose of your opiates and die, that's on you. It is not the opiates, and it is not the rest of us patients. It's the addict. It's the asshole who overdosed on purpose or without thinking. Okay? When we get prescribed, hold on. Okay, like I said, I get every 3 months, I fill this on the 14th. 60 milligram, 30 milligram. And then December 14th is my next one. 60 and a 30. This. It's called a prior authorization. Dun, dun, dun. Prior authorization. It says, a pharmaceutical benefit management company that provides services to members of the state of Arizona, UHC, EPO, and PPO Certain prescription drugs or services require prior authorization before they can be covered by your benefit plan. When this occurs, your healthcare practitioner will contact them to request a prior authorization. And it says, this letter is to notify that your prior authorization request for morphine sulfate extended release 60 milligrams has been approved. A 60 milligram time release morphine, you can't cook it up and shoot it. It doesn't work like that. The 30 milligram immediate release does. You can make hillbilly heroin. So why in the hell do I need a prior authorization for a pill that's not as dangerous as the immediate release? I have to do that every 3 months now. So 1 month prior. Last time I started 1 month prior. Because we tried to get all my drugs, all my scripts on 1 day. And we've done that. We've gotten them all on 1 day. I started the prior authorization 30 days before the script was due. It took them 34 days. I had to go 4 days without my 60s, which means I had to use up my extra 30s. And I couldn't just take 3 30s in the morning because the 60 is a time release. So I could only take 2 of my 30s. And after a couple hours, my pain level gets back up, I could take another one. But I had to use my extras. Why? Because of bullshit, bureaucracy, paper shuffling idiots. Okay? People that all they do is they sit there and they pronounce judgment on other people's lives without medical background, without proper medical training. Okay? They have a list of rules and regulations that they have to go through, and their computer will only let them do what they're allowed. So I have to do this prior authorization shit every 3 frickin' months, when I shouldn't have to. Okay? My doctor prescribed it because I need it. Okay? But because we have all these other doctors across the country that, I'm in pain, doc. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. Oh, I'm limping. Watch. Next week they'll be limping on the other side because they forget. All they want is drugs. All I wanted was help. I didn't want drugs. I wanted help. Turns out that drugs help. So, why? Why do we continue to fund methadone clinics and charge people? My morphine script is both of my morphines together is like $2,400 per month. I pay $30 for the 60s and $10 for the 30s. That's a good health plan. Saves me a lot. Most of my money then goes to pot. Why? Because everything works. This tincture, this THC tincture, 100 milligrams of THC and glycerin, it helps me so well with my tea, which is cannabis tea. And it's really dark because I add other tea bags to it. Green tea, green chai tea. I don't get high off of it. I don't get high off this. They tell you put a few drops under your tongue. I go a full dropper, and I don't feel it. But I feel a reduction in my pain levels. And isn't that the important part? Yes, it is. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. Yes, it's come to closing time for this video. But that's the whole thing, folks. Is dry skin. People, legitimate patients are being forced into suffering. Why? Because people think there's an epidemic. Why? Because people told them to think that. Our media controls so much, and it's bullshit. People lie to the media is now lying to us. 78 deaths per day attributed to all opiates, mostly fentanyl and heroin. Compare that to all those other deaths that I told you, per day. Thousands of people per day die of heart disease and cancers. Chemo and radiation kills almost 1.1 million people per year. Figure that out by day. It's more than the number that I found in there. Because 1 million people in, say, just 300 days, that's 333 people a day. Or is it 3,300, 33,000? I don't know. Do the math. But what it comes down to is legitimate patients should not be treated as addicts. And we should not be included in this bullshit epidemic crap. And it is. It's all made up in other people's heads because of they're either holier than thou or they're just fucking ignorant. Pardon my language, but it pisses me off that people like me have to live in fear of going back to where I was nothing but a vegetable on the couch. I couldn't do a goddamn thing. When I was in 10-10 pain, I could not do anything. I could barely sit up and I could barely crawl my ass to the bathroom with a walker. I'm 56 years old and I'm using a walker. Think about that. I can't get around without a cane and a walker. And when I leave my house, I have to put on a marijuana patch and I have to take my candies with me. And my vape, and my tincture. Because those are non-smokable. You don't know I'm taking them. I can take them in public. And nobody should ever fuck with me about taking them in public because it's a legitimate medicine. I was legitimately prescribed and it is not affecting anybody around me. If I'm smoking pot, if I'm smoking the weed, yes, it's affecting people around me. That's bad. That's wrong. But if I'm using my tincture, my vape, which 96% of the THC stays in the body, only 4% comes out in a very light cloud of vapor, and it dissipates. So it doesn't affect anybody around me. And my tincture and my candy, direct. There's nothing to exhale. Okay? It's not affecting anybody around me, but it's helping me to get through. Just payday and dispensary trip for me is a chore. Where I come home feeling like shit. Even with the patch and my candies and tincture and everything I take with me, I come home and I feel like shit. Why? Because of chronic pain. And when I'm in the car getting thrown around, I have to wear this stiff neck pillow and I'm using my magnet therapy at the same time now because my head gets thrown around and my neck kills me for days after a car ride. It hurts. And pain needs painkillers. At 400 deaths per year just for aspirin, at almost 200,000 deaths per year from SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, lorazepam, diazepam, anxiolytics, like that. They're all higher than opiates. Yet everybody's screaming about opiates. Why? Because they're evil. Heroin is evil, so they're counting heroin as all opiates. Okay? And these people get on their soapboxes and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they're comparing everybody as a heroin addict. Bullshit. We are not addicts. We are legitimate people with legitimate pain complaints that can be proven. If you just look at my skeletal x-rays, you would say, how in the hell do you get through the day? Well, like I told you, some days I sleep all day long because my body is tired from fighting the pain. And I don't take extra opiates to get through because I don't want to overdose. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to roll those dice. And to have my friends tell me that they need me to do these videos. I need you people to share these videos because this is facts. The opioid epidemic bullshit is totally blown out of proportion. Okay? Totally. And when heroin and fentanyl are the main causes of these opioid deaths, why are you going after a legitimately scripted morphine sulfate patient? Why? I'll tell you why. Because people hate, and they hate without thinking. Okay? That's where racism comes in. People hate. They hate people because they're a different color. They hate people because they have an accent. Okay? It's the same thing happening now with our medications. And these holier-than-thou people on their soapboxes and riding their unicorns thinking they fart rainbows and shit. It's all bullshit. There is no opioid epidemic. There is an epidemic of stupidity. And that stupidity runs all the way, it runs the gamut all the way to the top levels of the government. People who take other people's words as fact without doing their own studying. And people give flawed data because they have an agenda. So the only reason we have an opioid epidemic is because there's people with an agenda. Think about it. Many of these people, I'm sorry, are religious. And they cite God and the devil. Okay, the devil's in him if he's taking heroin. No, he's just an addict. Okay? God has nothing to do with it. People have just got to get off their high horses and just start telling the truth. Okay? The truth is out there to see with a simple Google search. At 78 deaths per day, thousands of deaths per day to cancers and cancer drugs. Okay? Kidney disease, triple the number. Or is it quadrupled? Okay? Sure, 78 deaths is now quadrupled. It's 4 times what it was in 1999. 78. If it's quadrupled from 1999, 18 years, there's 50 deaths to 78 deaths. There's 28 deaths, you know, that's, I don't know if that's the right number, but it's accurate. It's somewhere in there. But that's it. It is not an epidemic. And it does not to be treated as an epidemic. And patients should not be treated as addicts. That is the biggest thing that I am trying to get across here, is that patients are not addicts. Addicts pretend to be patients. And like I said, they're the ones that can talk a stupid doctor into writing whatever those people ask for. Oh, I need this much morphine. I need this much. I went 3 years at 210 milligrams of morphine a day. Back in January of this year, I said, okay, doc, I'm past the 3-year mark. I need an extra pill. He saw fit to give me that extra 30 milligram. And I've promised him 3 more years. 2.5 years now. 2.5 years before I will consider asking for an extra morphine. And that's only if I really, really, really cannot handle life without it. Go away, bugs. And that's it. Stupid people overdose. Chronic pain patients just want to feel less pain. Okay? They're not trying to escape reality. They're not trying to see colors and trails and rainbows. They're just trying to live a normal life. And as they deny these people their opiates, based on the actions of a few idiots and people that lie for their own agendas, is wrong. It's totally bullshit, wrong, and it needs to be remedied. The remedy starts with cannabis legalization and hemp. My friend Tracy, her hemp oil, she has people that get pain relief from the CBD in the hemp. Non-psychoactive, non-addictive cannabidiol. Okay? Even the THC, even the psychoactivity of the THC does more than just get you high. It breaks down into delta 8, delta 9, and delta 11 THC, and it goes throughout your body, and it does good things. Okay? Pot helps people, just as opiates help chronic pain patients. Hemp and cannabis legalization needs to happen, and all this bullshit about opioid epidemics needs to be straightened out, okay? And the media needs to stop helping lie to the public, okay? Because it's 78 deaths per day compared to all the other deaths for stroke, heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease. They all beat it out. So why is it all about the opiates? The majority of overdoses are heroin and fentanyl. Things that they're not even giving people anymore. They're trying to phase out fentanyl because of its deadliness. Okay? Just last year, they had fentanyl patches were in lawsuits because they would overdose people. They did not work right. And it goes on and on and on. And it should not be going on, and it should not be denying people the right to live a quality of life. So, me, on opiates and pot, me and my doctor have found the perfect combination of medications. As long as I take my opiates as prescribed, and I have my marijuana to take as needed, because you can't overdose on it, and it won't help morphine overdose either. It won't cause my morphine to OD me. As long as I take my opiates on time and smoke my weed as I want, I'm able to live a quality of life. I'm able to do these videos. I'm able to do this research, and I'm able to think clearly. Okay? And people, I've had some comments on YouTube, like I said, about my speech. Sorry, it's my speech. I have a speech impediment. Okay? For my ahs and my s's and h's and stuff like that. Okay? It's a sibilant S. You know, I'm like Billy Kripke on Big Bang Theory. Okay? That's all. So if you can't understand me, rewind it, listen again. I'll try to speak as clearly and succinctly as I can about everything. but it's not stoned. I haven't smoked or anything. I just took that first dose of my hemp oil and took some tea this morning. That's all I've had. So, I'm not high. And I never get high. I can go in there right now and smoke hash hit. Smoke a blunt at the same time, take my tincture, take a candy, take all that, and I still don't get high. I just drop pain numbers. So, those of us who are fighting chronic, acute, intractable pain, we need opiates. We deserve opiates, and we do not deserve to be treated like a heroin addict, because we're not. We're not addicted to pills. We're addicted to feeling well. That's it. Let's close out with that. Think about that. We're not addicted to the drug. We're addicted to feeling healthy. And is that so wrong? Is that wrong to just want to have a quality of life? People can go out there some people can go out there on their opiates and pot and work a good daily shift. I can't. I would come home broken down and not be able to do a thing for 7 to 8 days. That's how bad my body's screwed up. And opiates and marijuana afford me that quality of life to where I don't go crazy with the pain. Okay? And I don't overdose because I know to take my pills when prescribed. So, my friend Sharon, I hope I helped. I hope I covered your subject good. I read everything you put out there, added my own stuff to it. And I found all those numbers about all those deaths that beat out opiate deaths by far on a daily basis. Alcohol. Okay, I was talking about Jeff Sessions and his good people don't smoke marijuana. I say good people don't stand in the way of legalization. And Jeff Sessions says it's going to be a sad, sad state when marijuana can be bought at every corner grocery store. Never going to happen. It's always going to be through state licensed and regulated dispensaries. And there's already the most dangerous drug available at every corner grocery store. Alcohol, followed by cigarettes. You can walk out of Walmart with a shopping cart full of alcohol and nobody gives a shit. In a bar, they limit you. 1 pitcher per person. Okay? Used to be you could get 4 pitchers and sit there. No, if there's only 1 person, they'll only give you 1 pitcher and 1 glass. And you can only have so many shots per hour of hard liquor. Okay? But that's the only regulation there is on alcohol, is in the bars. You can go into Circle K, 7-Eleven, pick yourself up a bottle of vodka and pour it in your drink right there in your car and start hitting the road, drinking and driving. That, Mr. Sessions, is the danger to society. Not pot. It'll never be sold like you said. And alcohol already is. And alcohol is responsible for vehicular homicides, drinking themselves to death. People drink themselves to death at spring break and shit like that. Because they're young and they're dumb and they just don't think. Now that is an epidemic. Alcohol. In 1937, alcohol prohibition ended. Cannabis prohibition started. That was the downfall of American society as I see it. Only now, 80 years later, Are we having enough people pushing for marijuana legalization? And it needs to be legalized. And the opioid epidemic, my main subject of this video, is not an epidemic. It's lies and it's other people's hate and bias. Okay? Think. Think for yourselves. Okay? Our doctors are supposed to help us. Our insurance companies are supposed to help us too. But they're standing in the way now because of this opioid epidemic bullshit is now causing me to have to do this paperwork every 3 months just to get my pills. And it's red tape bullshit bureaucracy. And it's wrong. If a doctor is a legitimate doctor prescribing opiates on a limited basis to those who deserve it, who really need it, that's where it comes in. Okay? Legitimate pain patients. Legitimate pain patients need opiates and cannabis. So we need to get over this opioid epidemic, and we need to stop hurting people by taking away the only thing that is giving them a quality of life. It's not about getting high, it's about getting healed. And people have got to think, and you've got to learn this, and you've got to get it through your thick freaking heads that not everything you hear on the news is sooth. Okay? It's been massaged and washed and re-massaged and re-washed and painted to an acceptable color just so the news people can have those little, at 9 o'clock at night, you get this little thing that says, oh, this is killing your children. Stay tuned and watch us at 10. We'll get... It's all sensationalism. And that alone is helping to drive this bullshit epidemic. Media stupidity and sensationalism. Lies, scare tactics, and propaganda from those people who don't know or even understand and refuse to learn. Everybody has got to learn. And you can do it with a simple little Google search. That's how I got all that list of daily deaths in the United States. Okay? What was it? 66,000 people per day dead from all those issues. But everybody's screaming about 78 deaths from opioids and opiates, including heroin and fentanyl. I don't know where else to go with that. Okay, if you come up with something new for me that I can put in another video, tell me. Give me specifics. Write something out that I can read on air so that it's coming from another person, not just my friend Sharon, other people. Okay? John, Don, Dave, Bill, Fred, Ethel, Madge, Marge, whatever, whoever. Give me a story. I will put it on air. I will put it on YouTube and Facebook, just like this one's going to be. And what I'm telling you is sooth and truth, garnered from the internet with just a simple search, because you can find the truth. Like the X-Files, the truth is out there. Search for the truth. Learn the truth. And learn how to spot false flags and bullshit and lies and propaganda, because that's what holds up a lot of it. Racism, bigotry, and hatred is what spurred Harry Anslinger to go after marijuana, let alone the fact that he had to vilify his job as the drug czar. Now that alcohol was gone, he picked on marijuana and blamed it on low-life Mexicans and African Americans and jazz musicians. And he was the leading voice behind Reefer Madness, the most ignorant propaganda anti-marijuana film ever conceived. It's funny to watch if you're a stoner. It's hilarious. But let me tell you, nobody smokes up, picks up a gun, and shoots somebody else and laughs about it. That is not what smokers do. Smokers want to cuddle with their dog and watch Netflix and eat Cheetos or M&Ms or whatever you get, whatever your particular munchy taste is. That's it. And those of us on opioids and opiates, we're legitimate patients. Okay? Do I look like an opiate freak? Do I look like I'm on heroin? No, I'm not. I'm on morphine sulfate. But right now I feel the need for another pill, but I can't take it for another 2 hours. So I have to suffer and smoke weed, which helps me get through. So we need to stop taking patients off of opiates when they have legitimate reasons for taking those drugs. And chronic and intractable pain is a very valid reason. And the whole thing about the epidemic has just got to be stopped. And we need people to tell the media about this and to tell the media to stop vilifying these lies. Okay? Stop sensationalizing bullshit. Because that's all it is. It's you're sensationalizing bullshit and you're looking like the fool. Okay? Like that one anchorman or reporter claimed to be in a helicopter that got shot down in Iraq when everybody said no, he wasn't even anywhere near, okay? He sensationalized shit because they want to sell products. They want people to watch the news and then they want people to buy the products that are being advertised during the news programs. So they have to sensationalize shit to get us to watch it. I can't put up with more than 5 minutes of the local news, especially when they start talking about shit like opioid epidemics, because I know better. And I don't believe what everybody tells me. I look up and I find the truth for myself. Now, I've found the truth for you. And the truth is that there's 78 deaths per day over opiates, compared to alcohol, with over 200 and some deaths every day, not even drunk driving, just drinking themselves to death. 200 people a day. What's more harmful? And what can be bought at every corner grocery store? Alcohol. There's your epidemic. Yes, DEA, DOJ, Jeff Sessions, there's your frickin' epidemic. Alcohol. It's been legalized for 80 years and it's been responsible for chronic or childhood PTSD, PTSS, domestic violence, homicides, suicides, you name it. Alcohol is at the forefront of a drug epidemic. So, we need to regulate alcohol, and we need to stop vilifying it and pushing it on sports programs, because what are these people doing? They're sitting there and watching their sports, and they're drinking their beer, and they're getting fat. Okay, what the hell good does it do? Get out there and play some goddamn football. Don't sit there and drink yourself into a stupor just because your team's losing. Get all pissy. And then end up beating your wife or your children. It's alcohol is the leading cause of all those problems. Opioids are not. And like I say, at 78 deaths per day, that number is a drop in the bucket compared to everything else, especially alcohol and other drugs. Methamphetamines, homemade meth, crack. People are still doing crack. That shit fucks you up. Pot doesn't. And as a medicine for a chronic pain patient, opiates don't fuck you up. They help you live a quality of life. So, sorry for my language, but I really want to get this point across, and I really want this video shared. So please, please, please share. Peace out. There is no opioid epidemic. Free marijuana from the prison of ignorance. Start regulating alcohol better, and we'll save more lives. Thank you very much.